After 3 years of being on parole, after 20 years of incarceration, they've decided to extend my parole for another year. Nothing in my files post-release or my conduct post-release that would indicate that I'm a threat to anyone, nor do I wish ill upon anyone at all. Each day is a blessing above ground, and the air smells different in this world than it did behind the wall. Greetings and salutations, I'm Victor the Sword, and welcome to my channel at 28 to Persevere. Thanks for watching. At the end of this video, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video among the many others I have made available on my channel. Thank you. The New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision deferral of discharge 3-year notice. Deferred 12 months to 9/2026. Reason for deferral? Continued supervision is recommended at this time to support community safety. New York State Department of Correctional Services. After 3 years of being on parole, after 20 years of incarceration, they reviewed my case, they reviewed my parole stipulations, and they've decided to extend my parole for another year. Now, when you're released from incarceration, you're given some parole stipulations you have to abide by, or you will violate parole and go back to prison. The stipulations that I was given, I satisfied within the first 6 to 8 months. I had a violence awareness program that I had to attend through Zoom and online, and I did that. It was an 8-week course, and obviously I've abided by the laws, and I've done all that they've asked of me, and what I've asked of myself. This isn't a cry or pity party here. Obviously, I'm a free man. Each day is a blessing, and I'm grateful for the opportunity I have to sit here and speak to all of you. This truly is a gift from the gods, and I'm thankful every day to be in the position that I am in currently. But the fact of the matter is, I'm still under the thumb of the state of New York, and they feel the urge to continue my supervision and parole for public safety, even though there's nothing in my files post-release or my conduct post-release that would indicate that I'm a threat to anyone, nor do I wish ill upon anyone at all. The reality is, the situation is that the bureaucratic red tape is what it is. The corruption runs deep within the state of New York. Anyone who knows my case and knows my situation understands the circumstances that led to my incarceration. I've owned what I've done, my response to being attacked by 3 grown men as a 19-year-old child, and I owned it, the harsh reality of my conduct, and I paid for that. The 28 years of incarceration still linger within me. The scars run deep. Each and every day, I still suffer some forms of anxiety and post-traumatic stress, just dealing with the reality of what I went through. So much violence that I was constantly subjected to, and what was around me and bore witness to, and engaged in to survive that environment on a daily basis. But you do what you do. You get home. You try to be a model citizen. You do the best you can do to help your family. You learn. Educate yourself. Understand that being a student of life is an obligation and an honor to do. Each day is a blessing above ground, and the air smells different in this world than it did behind the wall. But I still suffer certain ailments from all the years of incarceration, from back problems to gastrointestinal issues to persistent headaches, among other various factions that I've contend with health-wise. But when you're out and you're out and about, and you're now a free man, you're still under that thumb. You're still under the leash, so to speak. You have to abide by certain things, and you have to be questioned and report, and you're made subjected to your analysis, and house might come and they might search your home or whatever. And where I'm at now in this particular state, it's been a blessing in the sense that the parole officers have been unbelievable, and as far as just very understanding and supportive of me and my situation. And I've given them no reason not to be, and that's been my conduct, and that's just the way it is. And understanding the situation, giving a full recommendation for the release of parole from the state I'm in now, New York State just disregarded it. which I wasn't surprised. I mean, the bureaucratic hypocrisy and corruption runs deep within the very fabric of the state of New York, especially the state of corrections. New York State Corrections is a cesspool of corruption in more ways than one. You don't you take my word on it. Just look it up and research it on your own. It's pretty out there as far as the information is concerned. Anyone knows my case, knows the situation I was in, and what I've done to better myself as a man, as a human being, while incarcerated, trying to do the best I could to survive and to avoid the unnecessary nonsense, violence that sometimes was unavoidable. But, I come home and you know, being a model citizen, doing everything that they've asked me to do, and done it and completed it in record time. I don't want an attaboy at it, or I'm not going on a rant and crying and pissing and moaning. I'm grateful to be in the position I'm in. I can't stress that enough. But a lot of guys go home and they're not given the certain opportunities to make a living. I fall in that category. I still haven't had employment after almost 3 years being released. And you're not really given that shake, and regardless of where you're at, and a lot of guys recommit crimes for whatever reason, mainly for financial, a lot of the times. And it's a situation that when you're a free man, you're still under that yoke, so to speak, of being subjected to whatever parole brings you and it demands of you. So I just wanted to share that with everyone today because it was something that was given to me the other day as a reminder. You know, you're not totally out of the woods, so to speak. You're not totally 100% away from that existence because you're reminded by that every day. But I live with what I live with, and I'm grateful to be able to share the things I share with all of you and those that have devoted their precious time and energy in listening to what I have to say. And I thank the guys every day that I have this microphone in front of me, and there is and some people out there that are interested in what I have to say and where we're going with this. And there's many stories to tell. And this life is a journey. This life is a remarkable feat of understanding, disappointment, frustrations, pleasures of all kinds, the highest peaks of pain, and the lowest depths of despair, and everything in between. So it's a journey of understanding and acknowledging and awakening. And my journey continues unabated, regardless. It doesn't really make a difference if I spend the rest of my life on parole or not. In that sense, I'm going to live my life and embrace every moment of it and take pleasures in the simplest pleasures, because the simplest pleasures make the biggest difference. It could be the simplest thing as extra roll of toilet paper, which I've talked about in previous videos. So, it's just a reminder to me, where I stand and sit every day, and how grateful I am. I wasn't angry or anything of that nature. I wasn't even really disappointed. Like I said, I wasn't surprised. It is what it is, and each day I wake up, I see my family. I get to spend time with them. I have animals around me, my dogs and cats, which are 10 times better than most people. Anyone who's an animal lover understands that. Nothing loyalty like the animal kingdom. They love us unconditionally. So it's just an eye opener, something I wanted to share with everybody. A few days back, I went to the movies, and going to the movies is one of my favorite pastimes. It's something that I truly, truly love to do. I love it. I mostly want to see the newest available horror films in these big, huge theaters, these IMAX theaters they have, and I've always been enamored by theaters. I've always loved the entire energy and the ambience of going to the movies, and something I love it. I really do. It's just something I embrace wholeheartedly, and any opportunity I could do it, I try to take advantage of it. And there's nothing like seeing a good horror flick on the big screen or whatnot, surround sound. I mean, I'm sitting there wide-eyed at all, just embracing it and enjoying every second of it. But a few days back when I went to the movies, something reminded me of early in my incarceration. And early in my incarceration, when I was at the Auburn Correctional Facility, I had to be in my early 20s. They had at that time an indoor theater. No lie, it was a full-scale model theater inside the prison, and huge screen. They had the seats like you do a regular theater. So looking within your mind's eye, you can actually imagine that it was just a full functioning theater. And what they would do is every Friday they would have the movie night. you had an opportunity when they went down the aisle, the COs went down the gallery or whatnot during the right before the chow. They would do the chow list, and they would ask you want to go to chow. And on Fridays, you would tell them chow movie instead of chow yard, because usually after the chow you go to the yard within an hour or two. You crack yourself and you go to the yard for a few hours at that time, and you would put movies. And when I first got there, I was told that they have a movie theater and they're actually showing movies that in full scale. I was just like, what? I was totally taken aback by that. But they had these movies, so you put in for the movies on Friday. They'd crack your cell before they went to crack for everybody for the yard. The guys that wanted to put in for movies, they'd go to the movie house, and so they would crack your cell, and you would walk down the gallery, and you would make your way to the movie theater, which was in the middle of the prison. So you had to navigate through various blocks and corridors, and of course, certain fights would pop off. Guys would meet as soon as the gates cracked, and they would just start getting it on in the gallery. A lot of things happened on the way to the theater. But once you were in the theater, you took your seat, and it was kind of a free for all at that time. You would sit wherever. I always would sit in the back, way in the back, because I wanted to see everybody that was in front of me. Even at that young age, I saw so much at just a minimal amount of time I was incarcerated, but I was still fully conscientious of everything around me and aware of what was happening. So I was, watching people watching more than watching anything else. But you would sit there, and they would dim the lights, and they would show a movie. You would think it would end at that, but a lot of violence would happen in the movie theater. A lot of guys would get hit up while they're watching movies. Think about it, you're distracted, you're looking up. There was a guy in particular I saw. He was a couple rows away from me. He was looking up, watching a film, and somebody just quickly came up behind him and sliced his throat. I mean, sliced him up pretty bad, and obviously he hit his throat, and so he was bleeding profusely, and made a huge ruckus. And there was fight. Another guy popped off on another guy, and it just escalated from there. There was various fights and so many violent occasions in that theater. And I only experienced the theater about 5 times, and then they shut it down. And as far as I was aware, they walled up the actual door and just made it part of the wall. And it's basically probably filled with cobwebs at this time, but it never functioned again. They literally walled it off because of the violence that would erupt. And think about the concept. I mean, you have one of the most violent prisons in America, the Auburn Correctional Facility, and they're showing movies. So some of the hardest cons you'll ever you ever come across in your life. And obviously the violence that would erupt there, you could just predict. It was not expected, unexpected. Excuse me. It was not unexpected at all. Obviously, it just happened constantly. So they walled it off. But I remember that. And I actually sat down in the movie theater recently, and I looked around me, and I seen all the anticipation, everybody enjoying themselves, smiles on their faces, and I just had a flashback in my head. I was like, wow, I remember the stuff that would happen in the Auburn theater. Like I said, I only seen it 4 or 5 times at the most, and then they shut it down. But that was a hell of an experience. I tell you that you never would have expected that. Thanks to you all for watching. Just wanted to share my information relating to the deferral and parole, and tell you about the story of the movie house in Auburn, which I thought was an interesting story and a very bizarre concept that I lived, a reality, an idea that is foreign to the sensibilities of a movie house inside one of the worst prisons in American history. So, thanks for watching. And if you have a second, head on over to Instagram, check out my page over there, press my link, and see some of the merch that I have made available in support of this channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, go with the gods and persevere.